In this tutorial, I'll be doing a small little seascape with a sailboat in it, and I'll walk you through my steps on how I proceed. I always start out with the light wash throughout the piece, trying to concentrate on the background, getting as much of that as I can done. The keeping in mind, I'm wanting to keep the sail of the boat as white as possible until the very end, which is a little difficult to do, but I'll do my best. I worked on this piece with cobalt blue, ultramarine blue, and a Payne's gray for the water and the sky. Flipping it around, as I always do, just to have a better angle on the piece, working the top of that boat itself. Touching up the back, keeping an eye, as I have to all the time, on the water stains that could build, and trying to keep the intensity of the sky where I wanted it on this particular one. I want to focus on the background to also bring out the sail and make that more prevalent in the piece. Working the water. I think my sky is pretty close to done. I might enhance it a tiny bit more, but I think that's done. Now I'm just going to work the foreground. I brought in another, as I like the opaque tan, just to give us softer water and making it a little bit smoother. So I went over my pigment with that color, which seemed to help. And then I went in with a little gray on top of that, just to clean it up a little bit. And the tan I felt was maybe a little too tan for the water, so the gray on gray opaque really worked out on that one. Going back into my sky when I see some of those water stains, and not wanting to have a halo around my sail in the background. I have to be aware of that when I went to outline or bring out the sail. I wanted to make sure I didn't have a halo effect around the sail in the sky. Starting to think about the shadows on the boat and intensify the pigment a little bit more as I go. Again, working that sky. It's a constant back and forth when I lay a paint down or water down, going back and seeing where things have changed on the paper. I'm going to have to go into the boat now, and it's basically straight Payne's gray, doing the base of the boat. And again, that will help to ground the boat into the water, not floating atop like it's not settled in. Using a ruler to get the mast straight as I can. But yeah, just slowly working the piece to get the little detail. I haven't done a sailboat in a while, so once again, I'm doing something that's out of my comfort, and happy I am. The whole idea here is to paint more and challenge myself. I have noticed that the sail might need to come down a little more than it is. So in a little bit I'll be bringing that sail down, which will be a little difficult because I painted underneath it, so I'm going to have to go in with some opaque white to help with that. Getting my figure in the boat so it doesn't look like it's an abandoned boat. That doesn't have to be too definitive. It's just a gesture of a person on the boat. Not, it's a boat that's set back a bit, so it's just kind of in the shadows there, just so you can see that there is a figure, but not too detailed. And you see where I've decided that my sail is too high up. I need to bring it down a little bit. So I'm gonna work that a little bit and try to bring it down with a shadow and then some highlights at the end. It's always hard with working with white, be it a white sail, trying to keep it pure, but even white sails, they have their shadows, so you have to be aware that it's not just going to be a straight white blank space. I mean, it's going to you're going to need to show the sail, the shadows of the sail, and in the wind here, slight movement. So you have to be cognizant of all that. When you're working in a small piece like this, it's just tiny little touches and the slightest wrong move and you've made a big mistake. So, but again, with watercolor, I have a few minutes to correct and remove a majority of the pigment if I do make a mistake. Or like I've said before, if I do make a mistake that I can't correct, change it into something else and pretend you meant to do that. As I've said many times, this is a painting. It isn't anything that we have to be too serious about. It's just, trying to do something new, trying to exercise your brain and using a new idea, a new palette, just painting. It's all good. Going in with my black, even a little darker, as the painting dries. With every painting, it changes and dries lighter, always dries lighter than you think it's going to. I noticed with this piece it needed a little bit of movement in the piece, and I ended up doing a fan brushing over the whole piece to give a looser feel to it. I always seem to want to loosen up the piece at the end, and I often do that with an opaque gray on gray or an opaque white, and just give a slight wash over the piece, and that helps to settle it in. I do have to keep in mind that this is set in water and that there are waves, slight waves around this piece, and I want to bring that in with my opaque white at the end here, and that will help to show some movement. You can see where I'm just doing a little wash, and that just helped to settle it. So you notice I lowered the sail a little bit, and now I'm going in with that opaque white, just a little bit dry, just to show, the highlights of the sail, maybe that glisten with the sun. And again, what looks like it might be quite definitive here in my strokes, it's not going to be because it's going to dry. a little lighter. So sometimes I go in a little bit more than I think it needs, just because I know it's going to dry differently. Keeping in mind the movement of the sails. And here I go trying to get a little highlight in with the dry brush. I'm going to go in with Caran d'Ache wax pastel also, and just ever so slightly touch a few spots to help with that highlight area as well. Tell me what issues you've had with working with water in boats, and what remedies you do to get the highlights. I'd like to hear from you. I'm trying to get the little details there on the side. Just slight lines here and there. And here's where I go in with a white pencil. Just a slight touch of it. And the Caran d'Ache wax pastel. You can manipulate that with water too after you lay it down. And sometimes it's just enough to leave a little stroke. I hope you've liked this painting tutorial, and I hope I see you next time at the start of another painting. Just get out there and paint. You have a great day, and like and subscribe if you like what I'm doing. And I hope to see you at the next painting. Have a great day.